Okay, we're gonna get started in just a minute here. If you just joined, please put like where you're calling in from the chat, and like maybe actually, Jenny, do you mind just dropping the Zoom link into like our volunteer voices channel on our Slack? That way, if people are hunting for the link, they can just click on it and get in. Beautiful. Okay. All right, this is a great place to pause the music and let's get going. All right, you heard the song Good People. Let's go. Um, okay, just to like get the energy, like momentum continuing and all of that, I'm gonna drop a question into the chat as kind of like this warm-up activity, icebreaker situation. And I would love to see your answers, right? So who or what got you into Common Power? And like type your answer into the chat. This could be from 2018, this could be from 2021, just this year, and let us know if this is like you're a newcomer, like this is like your first brush with Common Power. You're excited to get to work with us. And if you've actually been an OG, put that there too. So like if you're really experienced and a seasoned volunteer, or if like this is your first meeting or your first 5 meetings with us, I want to see where people are coming from and not just geographically. Cool. Oh my gosh, look at this. Everybody's coming in from people. Yes, this is what we call relational organizing. Here we are. Here we go. Oh, Jenna, you said, Jenna, I actually want to ask you to come off mute if you're able to, because your answer was Googling Canvas trips to swing states. And that's how you got Common Power.
Yes.
Wait, when did you do this?
Well, it's something I've always wanted to do, but during the DNC, Michelle Obama was like, do something. I was like, okay.
Yo, yeah. We were there. She said it and the whole house like bow down, you know what I mean? And so you literally just Google like in that moment, Canvas trips to swing states and like us popped up.
Yeah, I mean, I had to do a little research, but you guys were one of the groups that came up and I got on the website and was like, I'm in.
Yo, hey, shout out to Jenna. Let's give them a round of applause. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, thank you guys for putting it all together. I mean, it's great.
Yeah, it's what we're for. It's what we're for. Um, welcome, one and all. All right. Okay. So there's a lot to get to today. And we're just gonna go through it and we're gonna have fun, we're gonna have conversations, and feel free to keep using the chat, all right? But we're gonna move along. Okay, so Jessica, can you share screen actually? Beautiful, thank you. Okay, so before we get started here on the presentation, just a little bit of Zoom etiquette. Again, feel free to use the chat if you have any questions. Our moderators are constantly scanning it and we'll answer your questions as you have them. And we'll get to answering your questions too at the end with our dedicated Q&A session. But you are here at Common Power's monthly community meeting hosted by Fieldwork. So this is not a training. This is not a training. We have trainings. If you go in our calendar or events, you will see all of our trainings and it will have much more information than what you're going to get out of this. This is also not a get to work meeting. We already did that. So we have a recording of that you can watch. We can send it out right after this. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of like the step-by-step process of signing up, what is a state team? How do I volunteer? Like, you'll get a drop of that at the end of this meeting. We're going to leave you with some resources, but this is not a get to work meeting. So, but what this is though, Jessica, is a community meeting. So Common Power hosts community meetings the first Thursday of every month. And we do a rotating cast of hosts by different departments. Sometimes it's our development team. Sometimes it's our CP Future and Action Academy team. Sometimes it's our Institute for Common Power team. This month and next month, it will be hosted by Fieldwork. So it's definitely more focused on volunteering, taking action, and what you can do to make a difference, right? But because it is a community meeting, and again, not a training or a get to work meeting, we're going to be highlighting our community. So the different moving pieces that makes this all work, that makes it all feel so magical, and that makes like people want to come back to do this work with us. So we're gonna take it away, and we're going to show you why we're so different and why it's so special to be here with us. Okay, Jessica?
Thank you, Ben. So we're starting off strong with field work this month, as Ben has said, and we've done a lot of crazy stuff this year, and we're going to do even more crazier things in the next 2 to 3 months. And so I just want to highlight and give applause to all the things that our team has done and the volunteers, what you guys have done this year. And so we're just going to kind of go through the road from January 2024 until now, and just enjoy the pictures and just listen to, what we've done so far and what you guys can do with us later. Okay, the road so far. So we've done a lot of stuff this year. We've done so much stuff. And starting off strong in January, we actually kicked off our very first Get Out the Vote efforts. We went door knocking in New York for Tom Swazi for that special election. And we went door knocking in, I think, like -10-degree weather. I remember seeing Ben and Charles in their little fur suits and door knocking in the snow. And that was our very first door knocking trip this year. And we have so many more that followed after that, but that was really kicked off the season strong. And we won that election. And so that was the very start of fieldwork this year. And then we went straight into trainings for February. We launched our very first volunteer trainings. We had a version of them last year, and then we revamped them and brought in new trainers this year to kind of cover all the different things that fieldwork will be doing this year in 2024, and to prepare people for the huge presidential election this year. Everyone's been talking about it. And so we've been trying to prepare our community as best as we can. And we launched those trainings in February, me and MJ did, and invited a lot of our veteran volunteers and also our new volunteers to come join us as hosts of these trainings and really teach and learn from our community about how to talk to voters, how to get involved in field work, and how do we actually win in November. And so those trainings launched in February, which is awesome, and they're still going strong. And then we go straight into March. This is the beginning of our primary season. This was a big moment for us. We all knew that 2024 was going to be a huge, huge year. And it started in March, where we launched 3 to 4 different teams. And we sent out large groups of about 20 to 30 people to go door knock. We went to North Carolina, Texas, Ohio, and we even went to Wisconsin a little bit later. But this was the first real really set in for us how real it was this year, what we were going to do in the fall, and how important it was to be out there on the doors, to be talking to voters. And it was great to see all these different people come together from the past and from our current programs to go door knocking with us. And then skip forward to April, which I'm especially proud of, but we launched our first squads program, or a new rendition of squads, in which we gave an opportunity to people to get involved remotely and start civic communities in their own neighborhoods, in their own states. And what was really awesome about that is that it started off, a little soft, a little small, but then over the next couple of months, it definitely grew. And I'm so proud to say that now within squads alone, that we have contacted over 12,500 voters just from postcards alone, and from dozens and dozens of squads taking regular action every single month, every 2 months, and we'll continue to do that all the way through November. So that was our first 4 months. And then we're going to skip ahead to the last 4 months of this year. So May, shout out to MJ and Jenny and Poder for launching the Washington Weekends of Action. A lot of people don't think there's a lot going on in Washington. That is not true. There is so much happening in Washington. We're out there every single weekend, starting in May and then all the way through November. We're door knocking for House seat candidates and state Senate seat candidates. And every weekend, our community here in Seattle have been driving out to Yakima and Vancouver to door knock, and they do it in these wonderful small carpools and communities, and really are out there in their own neighborhoods, in their own backyards, defending the democracy that we wish to see. And then summertime is starting to happen in June and July. And what's so exciting about June is that we actually launched our biggest teams yet, which I think speaks to the great energy that we are all feeling this year. But in June, we went to Nevada and we went to Arizona. And what was really, really cool about Nevada is that we had over 50 people join us on that trip. And what was especially special is that it was a huge amalgamation of educators, it was students, it was new and old seasoned volunteers, and they all came together to go door knocking in over 100-degree weather, which is super, super hard. If y'all have not experienced it, that was really, really rough. But the community there was so great, and I think there were so many beautiful friendships and workshops that were done there, and that was our biggest team yet, and I think we're going to have almost double that when we get into November election season. So biggest teams yet means, you know, we're not even near the pool of people that we're about to receive. And then in July, this is kind of our prep season. So we were doing a lot of different things in preparation for the fall. What was really cool, and maybe some of you guys read it firsthand, is that we were actually on the cover of the Seattle Times, which is huge for us. They did a whole story on Common Power. A lot of their reporters and their writers and their photographers came with us on our trips. They, you know, they saw our offices firsthand, met with our volunteers, met with our staff, and they wrote a really cool piece on us that went on the front page of the Seattle Times, which is so awesome. And then we also launched a bunch of billboards. So if you're here in Washington, you might have seen our name now everywhere, which is cool. We're getting a little bit more recognition for the awesome work that we're doing. So if you're out on the light rail or anything, you might see one of those new Volunteer for Voters signs. But July was definitely the season where we were really getting to work, trying to prepare the best we can for August, September, October, November. And then, yeah, that leads right into August. We had our official Fieldwork launch. If you were able to make it, we had a huge Mohi gathering in person. We invited the Democratic chairs of, I believe, Ohio, Michigan, and Washington State, and they gave wonderful speeches and talked about the importance of what is at stake this election. And then we also had, of course, a virtual gathering for everyone here who's not in Seattle to come join us and really build in the excitement for the next couple of months. And so this has been the road so far in 2024, and this honestly is nothing compared to the next few months in 2024. And so we're really excited to be here with you guys.
Absolutely. And so like we're giving you like kind of like a highlights, like a recap highlights of our season, just to prepare you for the biggest thing that we're going to do this year heading into fall. So just as giving you a timeline, we're going to go through some numbers and peeling back the curtain a little bit, right? We're actually going to invite the people actually doing some of this work to talk to you too today about like, how does this all happen? So yes, so we're going to go through some numbers and we're going to invite people to talk about their experiences.
Hey, the first big number that we have for you is that within the first 6 months, 6 to 8 months of 2024 alone, we have knocked over 29,000 doors. And this is all across the country. So we went to North Carolina, Texas, Wisconsin, Arizona 3 times already, and maybe 3 to 4 times more. But we have talked to thousands and thousands of voters in the last couple of months, and we're looking to double, maybe even triple that number in the next couple of months. But this is an amazing accomplishment that we've had, especially considering that we're not feeling the same energy that we are feeling right now. So definitely really exciting and plenty of hard work that went into those numbers. Okay, just some more stats for you guys. Over the course of the last 8 months, we did take 12 different trips. Our last one to Wisconsin, I think just only a couple weeks ago. And we had 16 weekends of action in Washington State. That means every other weekend we are going out to Yakima, going out to Vancouver. People are making those couple hours of drives to talk to voters, which is really awesome. And we've had over 300 volunteers come and join us. And so these are not just from Washington State, but all across the country. People are joining us from New York, from Maryland, to Indiana. And so it's really cool to see, you know, Common Power really building up our community and reaching more people. And the great thing about having so many people with us is that we have such a diverse community, and we're able to really build a pipeline into some leadership roles with us. And so our state teams and our weekends of actions, they're all led by next generation leaders in combination with old and seasoned volunteers in teams diverse across race and generation. And so these pictures that you see right here, that's exactly what we look like when we are on the field, when we are door knocking, and even in our leadership here at Common Power, this is exactly what we look like as a community. And squads. this thing I'm especially proud of because I am a part of this program, but our squads, as I mentioned, has contacted over 12,000 voters in the last couple of months. And I will say squads had a small start. You know, we only had a couple of squads running, small groups of friends, of neighbors and family getting together and taking action, whether it was twice a week or every 2 weeks or maybe once a month. Groups of people were coming together to take action in the spirit of common power. And so the really cool thing is that, you know, the blue line on that graph actually represents individual squads that were taking action. And so it might not seem like a lot that you're doing on your own, but as you can see by the yellow part of the graph, the cumulative effort and the impact that you guys make when you guys do it together in action, and there are so many of you guys taking action at the same time, those efforts really build up and you end up reaching 10,000s of people. So that was really, really cool to see in the last couple of months. And I also want to shout out here, I included in this picture, Patty Spencer, who I don't know if you're on this call, but she was a new squad that just started, I think, a couple of weeks ago and sent in this picture. And this was her very first gathering she hosted in Methil Valley, which is not far from here in Seattle. And look at this beautiful group of people that she's gotten together to write some postcards, to send postcards to Nevada. And that's exactly what squads should be about, is bringing your friends together in your own home and taking action. And so shout out to squads. Thank you guys. And for here, I think I'm going to pass it back to Ben.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Jessica. So you guys kind of like got like a really good overview of like what Fieldwork does by the numbers, but like also kind of like what kind of impact we have. And I want to also turn our attention to also how do we get there, right? Because you're all here on this call because you believe volunteering is important and that this work is important. At Common Power, we take that question one step further. It's not just do we volunteer, it's how do we volunteer and who gets to volunteer. So the next couple of like speakers I'm going to bring up is going to be tackling that question. How do we get to a state of like, how do we get a program that is diverse across generation and race, can whip out so many doors in a short amount of time, do it again and again and again, because Jessica's saying, you know, we're out there every month. Elections big, elections small, we're there, right? So how do we do that consistently with diversity and do it effectively? We're going to try to answer that in these pieces coming up. But before we get there, I want to invite Davis. Are you on this call?
Hi.
Oh, you're
Can you hear me?
Yes, but there is some feedback.
Okay. Sorry.
Oh no, you're good.
Yes, I'm gonna talk a little bit. Did you want me? Oh, you
Yeah.
already have the doors. Never mind. Sorry.
No, you're totally good. Yeah. Tell us a little bit more, like introduce yourself first and foremost, right? And then like tell us a little bit about the Wisconsin trip that just happened. Like you guys literally just went there like 3 weeks ago. And of course your experience within that too as a team lead.
Yeah. So I'm Davis and I've been with Common Power about a year now. And this was my first trip to Wisconsin. But I've always been a volunteer. I've been to anywhere from Arizona to Ohio, Pennsylvania, all over the place with Common Power. So I would say leading a team for the first time after years of volunteering is both exciting, but also kind of challenging. As a volunteer, I had the opportunity to learn from others and get hands-on experience and understand the work that goes into each initiative. But stepping into a leadership role brings a new level of responsibility and perspective. You're not just completing tasks anymore. You're guiding a team, you're managing logistics and making sure everyone feels supported and motivated. The transition though, I can definitely say it's shown me how much more there is to consider when you're in charge. Just organizing schedules to resolving like team conflicts. I think it really requires a balance of patience, empathy and assertiveness. And I've had to really step up in terms of communication and decision making. But at the same time, leading gives me the chance to kind of shape the direction of our efforts, empower others, and contribute in a deeper way to something I believe in.
Thank you. Yeah. And you can see too, like Davis is right there in that picture. Like the one to the right, like you're right front and center, and you're surrounded by your team leads too. So Lily's right there to the right, Jordan's to the left. And if you look at the bigger picture, that's Carrie, the last Wisconsin team lead right there, handing out literature and making sure that people have what they need. So because we do this work in teams, right? Like never alone. And even our team leadership is the same. And we are trying to like make that collaboration across the board. And also shout out to Team Wisconsin, you know, like one of our oldest teams. Like we've been in Wisconsin basically every year. So if you're a team Wisconsin volunteer, thank you. And also the Midwest region just ended. So if you were on that call, that means that you're going back to Wisconsin again. And we would love to have you. There's 2 more trips coming up this fall. All right. Okay. And Davis, thank you very much. I'm going to now talk a little bit about what Davis mentioned with the transition from volunteer to leadership. And that is very, very intentional with how we do things here in Fieldwork. So if you just take a look at that picture, the young woman standing up is Chloe Hall. And to the left of her is Alejandra, Mariana, and Micaiah. These are all Gen Zers that come to us to volunteer and take action through our college age program Action Academy. And they're here. Chloe and Alejandra are actually leading this team of 50 volunteers to Nevada back in June. All right. And Mariana and Micaiah are there to volunteer and to door knock and all of that. So how do we get young people who might feel disillusioned, a little bit out of touch with the political scene, or might not even want to do it, right? They might want to plug into civics, but they don't have the resources or the time to do so. How do we get them not only to volunteer and door knock, but in leadership positions where they're leading other volunteers? So I'm actually going to invite Blossom to the call. And because you just finished off your graduation, girl, I'm going to let you have the floor. I'm going to let you talk about what just happened here. And I'm going to ask you, you know, like, how do we get young volunteers to volunteer? And how do we prepare them for the field?
Right. So, number one, I just want to say a huge shout out to Action Academy. Action Academy just ended. We just had graduation today. We're rolling out stipends. Shout out to my whole entire team, CP Future team, Kyra, Ellie, Larcy. Thank you so much, Larcy, for giving me the opportunity to lead in this way. We had over 200 and something applicants, having 100 and something graduates, still having a good rate. And how we do this is, number one, getting them in Action Academy. We're able to teach them about voter suppression, about voting rights. We're able to like lecture them on like voting history, so they understand like why this is important, because most of the students coming to Action Academy already are liberal and very progressive, but they need to understand like why we're doing this. Then from there, we kind of like ask them like, oh, are you interested in traveling? We tell them that we have field work and we travel, so if you want to stay with us, you can do that. And what we've been doing right now is kind of like a intake process. So they have an interest form that they fill out. And after they fill out that form, we have an amazing team consisting of Leslie, Ben, Larcy, Ellie, and Jenny, wherever she is. And they do the assortment and arranging of, okay, these people are on this East Coast and these are the places and these are the days that they're available. We work with the students' schedules. So that's the most important part. So,
oh wait, Blossom, just to be clear, we pay for them to go out. Full stop.
And this is sponsored.
Right.
This is sponsored.
Yes.
Big, huge part. The main reason why students are even able to get out and go to all these different places and travel and canvas is because it's sponsored. And that's one huge thing that a lot of the students, and as you can see, like crew leads that we have, Chloe, Alejandra, Mariana, Micaiah, and all the other ones that's on the call right now, they will say that like that's a big part of it. They're able to be sponsored. So thank you guys so much for your support and everything that you do to get us, the youth, out there, so as well as like canvas with you all.
Yeah, thank
yeah.
you. And let me just point out too, Chloe just dropped in the chat. Chloe's highlighted right there. So like, shout out to Chloe, and Mariana and Makaya, like while we're volunteers in Nevada, they're actually team leads for the fall. Mariana's going to be your team lead in Arizona. Makaya's your team lead for Pennsylvania. So they're not just out there to be out there, right? And totally, yes, of course, like that's totally fine too. But we're there with the intention of developing them to lead. So far this year, we've had 55 Action Academy students and alumni traveling into Door Knock just so far on these trips. And we have developed 14 Action Academy students and alumni into team leads for the fall. And Sam, I don't know if you're here. Can you join the conversation? And do you mind adding a little bit about like how do we keep engaging volunteers, young volunteers, while they're on the ground with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everybody. So my name is Sam, and I am a contractor with the Fieldwork department. So I have the pleasure of working for Vin and working with everyone else in Fieldwork. And over the past few months in Action Academy, I have been helping with especially those in the training committee. Shout out to my people there to develop a series of exercises and activities called Democracy Labs. And in these, our cohort participants in Action Academy have been testing like the real world knowledge about civics and advocacy and voter mobilization and putting those into practice in these simulation activities. So for those that don't know, when we go out and knock doors in field work, it's not just about the doors. There is always some sort of like educational component, especially for the youth, called fieldwork assembly. So democracy labs are essentially going to become part of that on these fieldwork trips and become incorporated into fieldwork assembly and that educational experience for our Gen Z volunteers. So super excited to be developing these activities and to be doing this with our young leaders in this program.
That's what I'm talking about, Sam. When did you start being a volunteer with Common Power?
Yeah, I started my volunteer journey with Common Power in 2022. Yeah.
And if you paid attention to the chat at the very beginning when we were asked who got you in Common Power, there were some people in there that said Sam, Sam, Sam. You know what I mean? So that's right.
Yeah.
So this is how this works, right? It's that like we are a relational organization. We teach relational organizing, and that's how this all moves. It's like our relationships to each other, right? And like leading people through, creating trust, and creating a community that people want to come back to. And Blossom, really quickly, how many people graduated in this most recent cohort literally an hour ago?
Literally, we just had 120 graduates, I believe. It could be more, but that's what I remember right now in my head. And it's just a like satisfying feeling to see that like you guys helped in a big way for us to sponsor these students to get stipends. So thank you guys so much for all the work that you've done. And yeah.
Love that. And how many people are like already interested in traveling out of that 120?
Yeah, we have 45 already, and I think that the number is going up as we speak. So we have 45 students already who are confirmed, and they're ready to get out on the ground, and they can't wait to see you guys this fall.
Oh yeah,
they're ready.
Yep. So if you're going to be traveling, you're going to be seeing Action Academy represent. Right, you're going to be seeing us out there too. Thank you so much, Blossom. Thank you, Sam. Y'all had a really rough week putting all this together and like setting people off. So I'm gonna let you go, but appreciate you coming to this community meeting. Okay, so this is not our only pipeline to action when it comes to education. We recognize here at Common Power that education is a catalyst for action. It also sustains it. So we have education program for our college age students. We also have an education program for everyone else. And within the Institute for Common Power, there is a very special program specifically for K-12 educators where we sponsor them to go on learning tours. so that they can get that rich history of voting rights and civil rights, and how to apply that to the students that they're going to be teaching and developing for years to come. And so we have the students pipeline, and then now we have the educators pipeline, all right? And of the 94 educators that have been through this learning tour program with the Institute for Common Power, 18% have already traveled with us. And mind you, these people got full-time jobs. So they're holding down a 9 to 5 and more, because we know teachers do extra stuff, Monday to Friday, and they're still out here busting ass. So 18% of educators have already traveled with us, be volunteers. 32% of them are planning to do more door knocking in the fall, or start door knocking in the fall. And 6% of them are out there multiple times, you know? So I'm gonna just point out here in this picture, that's Miss Shanita on the left, followed by Shai in the middle, and Jeff right there to the right. And the really special thing about this is that they're not just volunteering and door knocking, they are leading too. So Miss Shanita is a team lead for Team Texas. You know, you'll be seeing her if you're gonna be in Texas. Shai is a team lead for Team Montana. Jeff is a team lead for Team Nevada. So we have this intentionality built through fieldwork that you're not just here to volunteer, you're also here with the intention to lead down the line. And I know this for a fact because they've come to me for this. They were literally like, hey, on the trips where I'm not leading, I would like to travel more. So not only are they leading trips, multiple trips in the fall, they've signed up to volunteer on more. Inspirational, aspirational. And I'm actually going to invite one of the educators here who was also a team lead to come and share their journey, because it is a leap to go from education to action, right? From self-enrichment to selflessness. So we're going to highlight one of them. Jessica, we're going to actually start with a video of Greg. So just like a sidebar, this is just to show you who Greg is. But also, if you're curious about like a little bit about like what door knocking is like on the ground with apartments, so like literally not door knocking, but door knocking, this is an A+ example. All right.
Yeah, I'm speaking with Laura, please.
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, my name's Greg, and we're canvassing the neighborhoods on behalf of the Ohio Democratic Party. And we are hoping that you have already voted maybe early, and if not, you plan on voting early today or on Tuesday on Election Day.
I'm about to leave in like 20 minutes.
Oh, that is awesome. That is great news. And so do you plan on voting Democratic down ballot today?
I am, yes.
That is wonderful to hear. Do you have any interest in getting involved in what we do and volunteering a little bit? Or is that a little too much for you right now?
I'm very in the universe.
That's awesome. Everybody can play their part, so we appreciate that. So great. Good luck today, and thank you so much for your support.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a good one.
Greg, I love you, man. This is it. All right, Greg. Yeah, can you tell us a little about your journey? What made you decide to volunteer in the first place? Because that was your first time traveling with Common Power, right? To Ohio. And then what made you decide to lead?
Yeah, and for the record, that was very early on the canvassing stage. I can tell you, and I'm sure Ben can vouch, that my skills on talking to people and ringing doorbells improved throughout the trip.
It did. I mean, you started at a great point. You know, you just improved from there.
But all jokes aside, my name is Greg Pezacek, and I live in Central Florida, actually. And I've been a teacher and an administrator in all sorts of different positions in schools for the past 18 years. And I was introduced to Common Power through the 24-hour Teach-In for Democracy that they hosted at an AME church over in like the St. Petersburg, Florida, Clearwater area just over a year ago. And most of you probably recall that was at a time when the governor of the state of Florida was pretty critical and prevented the admission of the advanced placement African-American history courses into our high school classes. So that, really inspired me just to tune in for the first time. And I watched as many presentations as I could, and the quality of speakers and professors and voices and messages that were shared that day. It was hard to just settle on that. And so a good friend of mine, a colleague also, deep educational background, we kind of took that leap and applied to join what's called a Truth and Purpose Learning Tour that's hosted and sponsored by the Institute for Common Power, to where they take teachers, and Ben said K through 12, but there's even a couple that teach at the college level that I've met throughout our journey. And they take us through Atlanta, Georgia, Selma, Birmingham, and Montgomery in Alabama. They've got other tours that go up into Tennessee and Mississippi as well. And so I took part of that journey in February of 2024. And for 5 or 6 days, I traveled with a group of educators led by Dr. Terry Ann Scott and Dr. David Domke, with other amazing people, in other supportive roles like Luke Mitchner and many others that I probably won't recall their names at the moment. And so a big message and takeaway from that Truth and Purpose Learning Tour, outside of being in sacred and hallowed ground and meeting, actual true living American heroes, the foot soldiers of the civil rights movement, we walked away with a challenge to us, and that was education to action. And so many of us from that February learning tour, we went with it, right? There's kind of right, we're all familiar with the saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And Common Power, the Institute, and all of its arms and branches are that rising tide, and we in support roles are kind of the boats being lifted by their leadership and support. And so from there, I turned around and I traveled to Columbus, Ohio. So from Florida to Columbus, Ohio, and canvassed for 3 or 4 days with the team for the first time in my life. I guess you could say I was kind of politically dormant prior to joining Common Power. And since then, it's changed my entire life. It's been a turnaround at the age of 39, which is awesome. And the fieldwork experience, with Ben and Puya and Mr. Davis and everybody from Common Power that was there, it's such a supportive and fun community building environment. So for a rookie like myself to go out there, out of state, uncharted territory, they did an amazing job of helping you. And not to mention, I know it was mentioned from the Action Academy, but to also have Dr. Hassan Jeffries from the Ohio State University come in and give us a lecture and presentation on the history of politics in Ohio and gerrymandering and the type of people we'll be speaking to and how to engage with them. I mean, that by itself is just like mind-blowing, out of this world. And it's just like a casual thing. Hey, by the way, Dr. Jeffries is going to come talk to you guys before you go knock on some doors today. So amazing experience canvassing with the Fieldwork team. And I think from there, I took part in the inaugural. I'm sorry?
And I was going to say, and then Puya asked you to be a team leader literally I think 3 weeks later, and you said yes. So you had your first experience with us, and then you're like, this is wonderful. I'm going to do twice as extra.
No. It's not twice as extra, right? And that's kind of the beauty of Common Power. You can look at it like you said, well, you're teaching Monday through Friday, you've got kids, you've got this, you've got that. You kind of feel bad not being able to do everything, but there's never been any pressure from Common Power. They say, what can you give us? And I say, well, I'm a teacher, so my boss is kind of being so I can't fly out till Friday night. Well, that's no problem. Fly out Friday night. We'll use you through Sunday. We'll have you back by, class on Monday morning. So the understanding, the commitment, the accommodation, the support, everything from Common Power and the Institute, and then the other things that educators are doing as well. There was a Reunite the Vote, on the anniversary of the Voting Rights Act. So in August, a bunch of educators, were shipped, booth material and literature and pamphlets and registration ballots. And we went out into our individual cities and we engaged with potential voters, making sure that people were registered. And if they weren't, we helped them get situated. They held the inaugural teacher symposium, this past July in Selma, where you were with a week of educators. And I'll tell you what, you don't find a smarter, more skillful, amazing group of educators anywhere else than through Common Power. And that's coming from, a teacher that's been to conference after conference, after speaker for 20 years, where sometimes it's just hard to even sit there. But every time I engage with the educators from Common Power, it's uplifting, it's inspirational, and it's what keeps us moving.
Thank
and
you
so I will
much,
be
Greg.
leading Team North Carolina with 2 other co-leads. We'll be making 2 trips towards the end of September and then in the middle of October. And I look forward to hopefully doing just a piece of what, you know, the Common Power leaders have done for us moving forward. Make sure that the canvassers and the team that we're working with feel that same love, support, and community.
Thank you. That was amazing. That was amazing. And you're a part of that too, Greg. You're absolutely a part of that. And I mean, if you just see the chat, you know, Kendra, Tiffany, like shouting you out and giving you just as much support as you're giving us. And shout out to all the educators on the call as well. And thank you for the work that you do. And just to also reiterate here too, right? Like the commitments that you all have. We all know how much educators get paid in this country on average. We also give people the same support that we give students, we give educators so that they can be here with us and do what they want to do and volunteer, make a difference in this country. And thank you, Greg, for leading us and being there with us. All right, join Team North Carolina. That's the call to action. Okay, and so how we've just kind of given you a glimpse into these different parts of our pipeline, right? That we like intentionally feed into our work here. And that's the educators, the students, there's all of you beautiful people on the call, volunteers coming from all walks of life, being a part of this, united with a common purpose to win elections and elect good people. But how does that all work? So Jessica, if you can go to the next slide, please. Thank you. Oh, wait, there's one more slide. My bad. I was about to go on to another thing. But like, yes, go to the next slide. Next slide. Yes, that. Go back one. Oh. Yes, pause there. Okay, sorry. Just to wrap it all up, right? 50% of our state teams are led by educators and students from Action Academy and the Institute. And to that point about sponsorship too, 57 of our sponsorships are for people under the age of 25. That is how you get this vibrant community into the field. Which brings me to my next point. We have a vibrant community. And how do we all work together? You may have been in other organizations where you can clearly tell it's made for one type of person, right? Like you have like a one issue organization or like a one demographic organization that's like for the concerns and the agenda of that group of people. At Common Power, we are intentionally trying to be the middle organization where if you want to make a difference and if you want to volunteer and door knock, we'll take you. But with all those differences, take work. It takes work to actually be successful in a group that diverse. So if we go to the next slide, we actually have experts in programming for community. We keep saying community. What does that mean at Common Power? And how do we build it and sustain it? So I'm going to invite Dr. Devin Geary and Mary Ingram into the conversation here to talk about this piece of fieldwork, which is very personal, nuanced, and absolutely necessary for a community like us. All right, Devin, I'm gonna spotlight you. You here? Hello.
Hello, Ben. Thank you so much for that intro.
Yeah.
So myself and Mary Ingram, who's also on the call and who I'll hand this over to in a moment, we lead this program Dialogue for Democracy for Common Power. And what this program is all about, Common Power, as Ben said, brings people together across all different positionalities, lived experiences, but they come together, you guys come together, we all come together for a common cause, for a shared political goal. But many of us have grown up in largely homogenous spaces. So this is an incredible, like this is what we want the world to look like. This is what we want our government to look like, is like the Common Power community, diverse in such an enriching way. But as part of that comes a responsibility, comes an accountability to ourselves, to show up in ways that really empower, respect, and hold each other in this space together. And so our training is all about being mindful and intentional and thoughtful about our positionalities, about our power, about how power operates in different spaces. And so especially everyone, we want everybody to go through this training, but especially if you look like me and you look like Mary, we really recommend coming and hanging out with us and doing some of our readings, because it'll just help you show up in a more informed and thoughtful way. So to give
Absolutely.
you
Oh,
just to
sorry.
give- no,
Oh,
you're
okay.
good.
Sorry,
Go for it.
if I may just add a little bit here too, and like from like speaking from a like fieldwork and also a volunteer perspective, because like I mean I've been outdoors too, you know, it's like we can't shy away from conversations of identity because let's face it, we're out-of-state volunteers. We're going into neighborhoods that we don't live in, right? And oftentimes they're not used to seeing people that look like us. Whatever you might look like, you're going to be in a neighborhood that feels unfamiliar to you, right? And so to Devin's point, and I'll let you take it away in a second here, Devin, of like being aware and being conscious, we emphasize that and we encourage that because it, at the end of the day, makes us better volunteers because the name of the game is making a connection with a voter. And how do you do that better? You get more aware, you get more conscious, and you get really real practical tips on how to have a conversation, right?
100%, spot on. So we talk about, we have values that we introduce for having conversations about identity. We touch on our approach to conflict. We talk about structural bias and generational wealth, and we discuss the history that shaped the neighborhoods that we'll be navigating through. We talk about the limbic system and implicit bias and accountability. We cover the gambit, and we also engage in, we tackle we tackle scenarios together. So we get to practice using the skills that we talk about in our sessions. And with that, I'll hand it over to you, Mary, if you want to add anything.
You know, the only thank you so much. My name is Mary Ingram, and I work with these unbelievably stellar humans, Ben and Devin, and the rest of the Fieldwork team. It's just such a gift to be able to work in this community. The only thing I would add, Devin, is just that something that Ben, you touched on at the very beginning. I mean, this is an incredibly diverse, interracial, intergenerational. It isn't just race that plays an issue here. It's generations who come with their own expectations, their own narratives, their own stereotypes, their own biases. And so we just really deep dive into a reflection on identity and how we walk through neighborhoods carrying our historical selves into these different places. Like Ben said, you know, we're knocking on these doors. In some cases, these are neighborhoods that you may never have seen before, and they may never have seen anyone like you before, to Ben's point. And so just being respectful and curious. But I also just wanted to go back to something about community, because it really comes back to how do we operate and how do we build something that is in large part, like kind of aspirational, because as Devin said, you know, we're so segregated even now. And I think we do it by building trust with each other. And the ways that we sort of approach building that trust is by being accountable, is by being open-eyed about where your powers are, where your privileges are, and really listening to each other. So yeah, that's all I would add. Please come. We'd love to have you. We'll also be on the ground, I don't know, in 4 or 5 states.
Yes, actually, yeah, I would love to so your trainings, this is 201. So if you were to go on Common Power's website, and we'll show you in just a second, and look at our trainings, Devin and Mary facilitate the wonderful 201 training for volunteers. And you know it's 201 and not like 10 something, because this is next level, y'all. This is next level, okay? So go through it and be prepared to have your mind shift and your world changed. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And if you're lucky, you'll catch them on the ground. All right.
Oh, one extra shout out. We're actually
yes.
going to do an on the ground in-person training, which is actually the way we love to do it. September 30th in the WeWork office.
In Seattle.
Oh, by on the ground, you mean in person, like
Oh,
before a week? Yeah. Okay, so
in Seattle, you can sign up, you can come. we'll take as many of you as we can fit in that office.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay. And if someone can just drop that into the chat, if they want to sign up right now, you're sold. You're sold on this. If not, we'll show you where to find it in just a second. All right. Thank you. Thank you both. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of a shift here, y'all. You just heard about like how we do this, the different parts of fieldwork that makes this possible. And a running theme that you might have picked out is relationships, right? Relationships to each other, relationships to the voter. And there's another kind of relationships that we can't do without, which is partnerships. Common Power does everything through partnerships. We go on the ground, we find a partner, whether that's the Democratic Party or in local not volunteer, my bad, a local grassroots organization, or just like in general, if we want to do something, we find someone who's already doing it and just needs more bodies. So I want to highlight here a very special partnership of ours local to Washington, because there's this huge campaign that we do every year. And Emma, I'm going to invite you in to talk about this. Please introduce yourself as well, and what you do here. So for all of you volunteers in Washington, this is a very special treat.
Thank you, Vin. Hi, I'm Emma. I am the voter registration coordinator here at Common Power. And I actually got involved through Action Academy last year. Larcy invited me and I was doing some community event and they happened to table and that brought me in. So yeah, I got here through Action Academy. I'm still in college, so when they say young people are involved in this, that includes me. And this project, the National Voter Registration Day campaign, which I'll talk about a little bit more, was passed down to me from Jessica, as I think been before that. And so this has been going on for a while, and I want to talk about how we've been able to grow through these partnerships. But a little bit more about the campaign itself, just to overview it. It's from September 14th through 17th in honor of National Voter Registration Day, which is on September 17th. And we're going to be going into 12 different Goodwill stores in Western Washington and registering voters. So the vote is important, but we start with getting people registered. So yeah, and like I said before, it started 5 years ago and it began with an idea just between Green Goodwill and Common Power. I believe it was like a mutual friendship or volunteer. And they somehow
It was
knew
Larcy. It was Larcy.
Larcy?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just Larcy. That's just Larcy.
And then
period.
it just grew from there. So yeah, it started with an idea and yeah, Goodwill is a local nonprofit themselves. So even though there's so many Goodwills out there, Evergreen Goodwill focuses on the communities that they're in. There's 5 counties in Western Washington. So King, Kitsap, Snohomish, Skagit, and Whatcom County is Evergreen Goodwill. And they do a lot of great things. The people on that team, we work with their mission team. They're super fun. They're a wonderful group. And they not only they connect people with jobs, they provide like adult education and youth programming, and they get involved with organizations like us.
For sure.
And so,
like, oh, sorry,
yeah,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, and this year we roped in the League of Women Voters into our partnership.
So yeah, we have 2 organizations that we work with. So Evergreen Goodwill started with them, but then the League of Women Voters, they're super awesome. They began to work with us back in 2022, and they just had a bunch of volunteers, and from there they wanted to get more involved. And this year, they officially became a partner with us. And so through this campaign, we're able to reach folks who might not have regular access to voting rights, and the conversation of voting is not something they regularly talk about. Politics is a scary space. And yeah, so we're through these 12 stores that Evergreen Goodwill has helped us leverage. We're reaching those marginalized spaces. And then with the League, who is a activist grassroots organization, they are some of the like best people you can go to talk about Washington elections, voting rights, just voting in general. And they've not only helped us expand our volunteer base tremendously, but they've also helped us with all these trainings and guiding us through ways we can connect with other volunteers.
Beautiful.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And trainings are going on right now. We'll give you all the links to sign up. You can see the stores that we're still needing volunteers in. And thank you so much, Emma. Emma's been coordinating this from the beginning. You started in like January. So thank you so much for your work. It's all coming together. This is wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to actually move on to, okay. So all of y'all, we're here. You kind of understand us now a little bit, peeling behind the curtain and seeing what's behind it. Let's give you some resources. So you might be wondering like, okay, where do I find these links? What are all these events that they're talking about? All these trainings, what am I gonna do? Okay, Jenny, it's your turn. I'm gonna spotlight you. We're gonna screen share the website that Jessica's gonna do. And can you please point out like, where should people go after this call right now to find all the information that they need?
Hey, hi everyone, my name is Jenny. And yeah, so once you're on the website, commonpower.org, make sure you guys remember that. It's gonna be like your main place to find everything. So once you get on the webpage, the first thing you should do, if you're new, if you're looking for action, is going to where it says, either one, you're a new volunteer, clicking on new volunteer. Yeah, I'm new here. So, you have three options. Basically, are you wanting to meet other volunteers? You'll be directed to our Slack invite form. And on Slack, you'll be able to find our whole community on there, spreading a bunch of just positive messages. The state teams are also going to be on there. So once you're ready to take action with us on the ground, you'll be able to communicate with your team leads on there. And then the next one's find action. You can find action through location. Through our map here, you can see, by clicking my location, you can see the map. It is color-coded by priority. So you can see there, our high priority is gonna be the darker green. And then for like local mobilization, there's gonna be in New York, Maryland, Washington, and California. And from there, you can also be
Wait, actually really quickly. So we're gonna speed through this a little bit. So right here at the map that you see, this is our priority states. But Jenny, where are the states that we actually need volunteers because of signups, right? So
yes.
Yeah.
So really, if you do have the possibility to join us on the ground, right now, we really do need some more volunteers in Ohio, Texas, Arizona. No,
not Arizona. Arizona has so many people.
Yeah,
Michigan.
Michigan.
and Montana.
Yeah.
Yep. So and North Carolina. So if you love Greg, you should definitely join North Carolina. But so North Carolina, Texas, Ohio, Michigan, and Montana still need more volunteers. So please, please, please sign up if you have the capacity to do another trip, or if you're just still deciding about where to go. And Jenny, can you talk a little bit more about the travel guide, and we'll just wrap it up there?
Yeah, on the travel guide, you will basically find everything that you are maybe wondering, from where we're going, what weekends we're going to be there, what weekends we're going to be in specific states, as well as cities. The travel dates also include traveling. So if you see like the dates from September 18th to the 25th, the 18th and the 23rd are travel dates. So that's the dates that we're going to be flying in, flying out. And then also on the travel guide, you'll find all the links to join each state team right there. And as well, you'll also see the map again to just see our priorities. And also our regional meetings that will be occurring. Instead of going to a meeting for each state team, you can now join regional meetings, which will then simplify all the meetings you have to join. And you'll be able to hear from different regional teams for an hour to just see daily updates. They happen bi-weekly, I believe. Yeah, bi-weekly. Yeah, highly encourage them. We just had our first round of regional meetings and they went super great. So do highly encourage if you haven't joined our regional meetings, you should, just to get updates on travel logistics and get your questions answered like at the moment by the teammates. And then if you scroll down to the bottom of the travel guide, you'll see our trainings, our volunteer trainings. These are really crucial if you're new to CP. So basically just learn overall about what our org does through remote action squads, which we heard about, and also on the ground travel. And yeah, as well as postcarding. I think I saw that in the chat about postcarding. We do talk about that in the 101 training. In our 102 training, it is about engaging with voters at the door. This is more to get some scenario work done, you know, how to deal with sticky situations when you're at the door. And then our 103, if you're traveling with us or thinking about traveling with us, you can, this is the one to go to. If you're all about logistics on day-to-day, what is on the ground like, and also be able to get some experiences from really great trainers who have really good experience on the ground, and get all your questions answered about logistics. And I think I covered the whole guide right there.
All right, beautiful. Okay, and Jessica, one more thing to like add up there, just go to this top. Can you scroll all the way to the top and point out where the Fieldwork calendar is? And if you're wondering, like, where are these trainings, what time, all of that is right here. So if you were to click on something, remote opportunities, I saw someone ask about remote opportunities. We have text banks on here, phone banks on here that we source from our partners. Our trip dates are on here as well as our trainings. So definitely check this as like a one-stop shop if you like a timeline view. And Jenny will be at all the trainings. And she also runs the volunteer help inbox. So if you need a little bit of help and you need a little bit of support, it's Jenny on the other line. Okay. And then let's go back really quickly to one last slide, and we're going to go straight into questions, I think. I know we're a little bit over time. And so if you have to leave, that is okay. There is a recording. So what's coming up here is a couple of our events. So every community meeting, we just like to highlight some events coming up. We have a lot of this is in person, so I'll breeze through this. You can look at the Fieldwork calendar again for these events as well. The debate watch party, the registration campaign kickoff, and our gathering are all in Seattle, Washington. So if you're in Seattle, we would love to have you there in person. If you're not, we'll miss you. We'll likely and we'll love to see you on the ground starting September 20th when all of our state teams start traveling. So that's what's coming up for Common Power. Thank you for being here with us. Let's stop screen sharing here, and we're just gonna take questions. I'm actually gonna go off spotlight myself so I can see all your lovely faces. And if you have any questions, please raise your hand, put them in the chat. We will address it. We're gonna do, this is like an interactive part of this here, so don't be afraid to just come off mute or raise your hand and all of that. I'm gonna start with a question that I got from the chat, and then we're gonna go from there as you're thinking about your questions. So we had a person ask us when we were talking about our Gen Z pipeline, how many doors do our Gen Z volunteers do, right? And I think like from our data of like the last year and a couple of trips this year, like on average, we do like 60 doors a day, like an average young volunteer does 60 doors a day. And on average, a Common Power volunteer does like about 45 doors a day, just like on average. So I hope that answers your question, whoever asked me that one. And yeah, thank you, Jessica, for screen sharing and managing that all as well. We're here. If you have any questions about Fieldwork, about CP, or if you just want to say hi.
That was a great presentation, by the way. My goodness. The slides were fantastic. The data, the testimonials. Good
Made by
stuff.
Jessica. Shout out.
And run by Ben. Shout out.
Oh, Dan, you got a question? You were just at the regional meeting. Oh, yes.
For the whole thing. So I got introduced to Common Power and got invited to a time or treasure meeting, which was aimed at generating some donation and some of the funds that support, and donated, and sort of wondered what I donated to. And I've been going to these Zoom calls, and I am so glad I put my money where I did and didn't just send it off to one of the big national things that hits my email all the time. So there's a few pennies of me and all of you. And
I think we've seen you at the last 3 meetings. You were at the squads meeting, and then you
I've
went to the regional
been
meeting.
digging in, trying to figure out where. Digging in is the beginning of plugging in. So
That's good. I like that. Thank you for that, Dan. And will be here same time next year.
Oh, yeah.
And all these other folks they'll be gone out of your inbox.
I'm also paying attention to there's a lot of digging in to do right now this year. So
Yes.
anyway, thanks
Love
everyone.
that. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. And Duffy, good to see you on the call. What's up?
Well, hi. Yeah, I just want to echo what Dan just said. And this is kind of strange, but I would like to know if Charlie Voss's iPad, which I see in participants, I think Charlie Voss was my architect for my condominium. And if it is Charlie and his partner join Common Power, it is so great. And give my love to Charlie.
Joe, are you able to get off mute? I see. Yes.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll tell him. So tell me your name again. Who's that?
My name is Duffy Clark.
Duffy. Okay.
And he was my architect at 7001 condominiums in Seattle.
7001 condos.
Yep.
Okay. He will know, I'm sure. He knows everything.
He will. I drove him nuts. No.
That's your job. That is your job to drive my husband nuts.
This is the community and community meeting, y'all. I love this. Anybody else knows anybody else on this call?
Well, while I'm here, I just wanted to say I was having trouble with the tech and accidentally sending messages to individuals when I meant everybody. I want to thank all of you for everything you do. It's incredible. Just incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Oh, thank you for being here. And you've been here too. Like I've seen your name all over these meetings, and we've had a lot. If you look at our calendar, I'm like, are there even enough souls to go around all these meetings? But yeah, we're here.
Train myself so I can be ready for Las Vegas.
Oh, what trip are you going to?
The first one.
Oh, that's dope. Yeah.
I'm going with Jody Nyquist. We're going to be buddies on that trip, assuming she gets there. She had a little issue the other day that I probably shouldn't talk about. I'll let her, but I hope she makes it.
I do too.
Oh, we heard. We talked to Ruth today.
Oh, okay.
Ruth came by the office. Yeah. Speaking of came by the office, Debbie and Sin both came by the office. Good to see you again. You're both on your own phones right next to each other. It's very creative, multi-angle view. I like that. It's good stuff.
Do you want to come off mute and talk a little bit, Cynthia? I think you're trying to say something.
That's what, try not to echo. There you go.
We're on the ferry back to Bainbridge.
Oh, on the ferry. Cool. Marilyn.
I just wanted to say what a wonderful presentation this has been. It has really warmed my heart to see all these young people getting involved. And the fact that Common Power has been able to reach out to people across the country with such diversity and with so many different age groups involved. And I love the teacher presentation. I thought that was awesome. So thank you, Greg. And to all of you.
Oh, thank you. And Greg is still here, so I was like, I can see him blushing in his little cheeks, you know. All right.
Where's our new person? What do you think? Is she still here? I think she might have hopped off.
Jenna? I don't see her anymore.
Yeah, I think she hopped off.
Okay, I'm at the point in the meeting where I'm actually just calling
Wait a minute,
people,
is that
'cause
Braden?
That's what I was just about to say, Braden.
Is Braden here on the call? What?
Braden, we miss you.
Like maybe.
Oh my gosh. Look at all the even Angie's like, what?
Braden, we would
Mhm.
love to have you back in the field. I will send
Yeah,
Jessica.
but like Wisconsin, I'm sorry, I don't care if the other states are like need people, that's great. But
You want to go to Wisconsin? Bro,
They
wanna
want,
go to
they want you
Wisconsin.
bad.
bet,
They want you
bet.
back.
Oh my god.
Wherever you want to go, Braden. Anywhere.
They want you, yeah.
Period.
Okay,
Okay.
yes. I will send Jessica out as a missive to formally invite you to the Wisconsin trips coming
Over
up.
text.
And
Formal
I,
invitation. Oh
over
my
text.
God.
how
Oh,
are
I'm
you doing
somebody.
though? Yeah, I mean, how are you doing though?
Like vibing mostly. That's yeah, working, whatever.
I mean, yeah, you're living. And we would love to
Yeah,
have you with us for a couple of
thank
weeks.
you.
Yes. Okay. Who else? Who else can I just point out and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Wait, Angie? Someone said Angie was on the call. Oh no, she saw what happened to Brayden and she dropped.
No, I'm here.
What happened to me?
Yes!
Oh,
Hi. Hey, Brayden.
Angie, is that it? Are you like, how are you doing, girl? You came back.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm
Angie,
happy.
are you coming to California or like what?
Wherever Ben puts me.
You are. I'm following up. I haven't done it yet, but like, yes, we would love to have you in California. Jessica's going on her lonesome. By the way, this is to
Oh.
everyone on the call. Please go to California as well.
Don't let me be alone there, guys. Come to California.
So down.
Hell yeah.
Hey, is this Eric Holtra? Is this one of the Action Academy students that just graduated, brand new?
Ah, I'm a crew lead.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. I apologize, sir. Eric is a crew lead.
Yeah, can you walk that back? Can you
He's
address
a
him by his rightful title?
he's a higher level Action Academy student, graduated last year and led a crew through this year. What do you think of the cohort this year, man?
It was great. It was so awesome having so many people. Like biggest one yet, right?
Okay, so we got to get you out in the field though.
Yeah, what states are you going to, man?
I can't this fall. I gotta do my senior project.
What?
Oh shit. Wait, where do you live? Wait, no, that's too personal of a question. I was gonna be like, wait.
Drop your address and social security number in the chat. No, I'm
That's not
joking.
what I meant. I was only asking because I was like, if you live near a state, you can just pop out for 24 hours and be back in time for your
No, because
thesis.
I'm in Eastern Washington, so it's like,
You're in Eastern Washington?
yeah. And so
Spokane?
it's like Pullman, so I'm like an hour and a half away from the nearest airport, and I don't even have a car.
Bro, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know what,
Oh,
Eric? We're gonna figure this out, okay? We're gonna figure out what your time frame is and how to get you to an airport.
Because I will say too, like if it doesn't work, I mean, Washington Weekends of Actions have this thing called designated drivers, where there's literally volunteers that are just there to ferry people around.
It's
And
for drinking while you're canvassing, right? Is that what that is?
yes, that is also what it's for. It's both. We multitask here in this organization.
Innovative programming.
That's right.
Should this be recorded?
Yes.
We should
So
turn that
Jenny,
off.